Okay, so welcome everyone. As I said, my name is Vida, and I like to start the practice in standing. If for any reason you are struggling with sitting, or your body is respond better to sitting to start out or to lying down, you're more than welcome to go into that position. So finding what is best for you. So we'll take a moment to just look down at the feet, just noticing the contact of the feet on the earth. And then allow yourself to take a little peruse of the room with your eyes, just taking in your environment. And when we do this, we're also checking to see, do we feel safe? Does this place feel secure? Is there anything here that I need to do? Maybe close a door, make sure the door is locked for me. I'm just checking my space and also just allowing my body to sense and feel the room. Is this the place where I want to practice for the next couple of hours? And maybe it's the best you can do, and that's fine. Just taking all that into consideration. And bringing the awareness back to your body from the room. And sensing and feeling the breathing. Where does your breathing naturally arise and fall in the body? If you'd like, you can even place a hand where the breath just seems to naturally expand and then let go. And without fixing anything, this is an observation with curiosity. Noticing where the breath naturally comes into the body. Where are you today in this moment? And continuing with that awareness of the breath, start to spread the awareness. For most people, that awareness is in the front body. I'm going to slide the hands, if that's available to you and feels comfortable, to the sides of the body. So sometimes I find it helps to cross the arms over each other and then place the hands on the side body where the ribs are. And noticing if there's any movement of the ribs as you breathe in and out. It might be small, subtle. The breath under the armpits versus the breath underneath the breasts of the side ribs. Sometimes just by paying attention to the breathing, it naturally deepens on its own. And then shifting the awareness to breathing of the back body. So you can do this by either, if you have the flexibility to bring a hand to the back body, if this is tweaking the shoulder, you can either put your back to a wall and feel your back body, or you can lie on the floor and feel the back body as you breathe in and out. Just noticing how the back moves as you breathe in and as you breathe out. Noticing how these few breaths start to soften and bring our body into more of the spotlight of our consciousness. Going to come back into a standing position if you are not in that position, to see if you can come back into a more upright position, if that works for you. And checking with your feet, maybe letting them be about hip width, shoulder width apart, somewhere in between, with the feet pointing straight forward. And notice where your eyes have naturally fallen as you've breathed and looked at the feet and then brought them back up. Do they naturally rest on the horizon or on the floor in front of you, somewhere between? So inviting the gaze to move down towards the floor if it has not done that already, and allowing for the awareness of the breath and the eyes together. So the eyes are cast down, maybe 2 meters in front of you, 8 feet in front. And allowing the eyes to move down helps the nervous system to start to settle. If you'd like, you can soften the brow and maybe the jaw. And if it feels forced, you're welcome to bring the eyes up to a place that feels a little more comfortable for you. This is all an exploration. So I'm guiding you, however, you are your best guide. So feel free to ignore me at any point and listen to you. So going into shoulder rolls here, just allowing the shoulders just to move forward and very gently. This is a small movement to start, just doing some gentle movement of the shoulders, rolling them forward, up and back and down. And switching directions, noticing the breath, maybe a sigh. Allowing the shoulders to descend here. We'll do 3 movements, 3 breaths here. Inhaling, raising the shoulders up. Exhaling with a sigh. And noticing the impact of just those small movements on the body. We're going to go into the 6 movements of the spine here. So a flexion extension, cat-cow in a squat position. So letting the feet continue to point forward, we're going to sit back as if we're going to sit back in a chair. So maybe 2/3 of the weight is in the heels, hands on the thighs. And again, this is a gentle bend. So however is comfortable for you, it might be very slight or it might be a little bit more. And from here, drawing the belly button in. And as we draw the belly button in, the pelvis tucks. And then inhale, releasing the belly, allowing the lower pelvis to move. Just a small movement here to start. So this time, as we draw the belly in, see if you can do this with an exhale. And then an inhale, releasing the belly, reversing the direction of the pelvis. If it's available for you, allowing the breath to come in and out of the nose is optimal. However, there are all sorts of allergies and colds and deviated septums and all sorts of things. So breathe the best way that allows for the breath to move smoothly in and out of the body. So we're going to continue this movement as you exhale, drawing the belly button in, and notice that there's a natural want of the spine to continue that movement up the spine. The shoulders start to round forward, the chin comes towards the chest. And then as we inhale, releasing the belly, expanding through the rib cage, expanding through the pelvic floor and the back arches in the other direction, and it continues to move up through the spine, opening the chest. Exhale, drawing the belly button in, pelvis moves in the other direction, up the spine. Inhale, continuing that movement and breath back and forth. And it might be that sometimes as we do the movement, the mind will go elsewhere. It might get irritable. It might have other things you might have been holding at bay for the day make their way into your consciousness. So see them for what they are. And when you notice, just bringing yourself back. It's that moment of awakeness that we practice. You can start to allow the chin and the head to come along for the ride. Inhaling, tilting the pelvis, lifting the chest, lifting the chin to the sky. Exhale. And we'll do one more of each. And this last exhale, just gradually press yourself up into standing. And noticing as we pause here, the energy starting to move through the spine. Maybe even through the legs or the head. So the third and fourth movements of the spine, we're going to start first actually with awareness of the lower pelvis. So bringing the pelvis, bringing the hands to this area below the belly button. This place of center of gravity. And pressing the belly in just a little bit and then drawing it up. And you'll notice that when you do that, that it helps these lower abdominal muscles that are usually kind of soft for when we sit all day, helps them to engage. And then releasing the hands there and see if you can keep this lower belly a little bit engaged. The thighs are nice and firm here, feet pressing into the earth. And we'll start to side bend to the right, keeping the hands on the side body as we do so. And then side bending to the other side. Breathing as we go. We'll do one more to each side. Pause here in the center, just noticing if there's anything twingy or waking up. Make any adjustments, maybe check your feet, that they're pointing forward. The outer edges of the feet, maybe parallel with the outer mat if you're standing on one. Checking this engagement of the belly, you want it about 30% or so. And we're going into a side bend again. So the right hand is on the outer right leg, side bending to the right, left hand is on the outer left side, and it's sliding up the left side body. And we'll take a deep breath here, bringing the breath into the side ribs. Exhaling. And then turning the head to look down towards the right, towards the outer edge of the right foot. And breathe, breathing into this rib cage. You can take 2 or 3 breaths here. With every exhalation, it might be that your body can go or move a little deeper. And then to come out of this position, we'll inhale, turning the head to look up towards the sky. Inhaling, lifting up, exhaling as we come to standing. And notice the left side of the body now, maybe the awakeness of it compared to the right side, maybe the brightness. And the hands remaining on the side body, we'll start to side bend over to the left side here. Noticing if there's the engagement of the lower belly, and if not, you can always come back to center, start over, side bend. From here, side bending, drawing that right hand up the side body. And turning the head to look down to the outer left foot. Breathing into the side ribs, the right side ribs. Engaging the inner edges of the feet, pressing down towards the earth. Every exhalation, an invitation for the body to let go, maybe just a little more. And to come out of this position, inhaling, turning the head to turn towards the sky, lifting back up into standing and facing forward. Exhale. Sensing and feeling the brightness of the side body now, the front and back bodies. We'll go into rotation, the fifth and sixth movement. So moving left to right here. So the legs, sometimes it's easier to do this when warming up for the legs to be a little bit wider apart. We'll just start to shift our weight back and forth, let the arms start to move freely. So it's as if the rotation is starting from the ground up. We're pushing on that opposite foot, turning the body to the other side, and the hands start to move. Just notice that, pushing from the ground up, letting the hands and the arms. So feeling and sensing that translation of motion from the earth into your body. And the breath. And seeing if you can allow for the head and the eyes to stay forward. Just a moment here, notice how that might shift or change things. So we're still doing the movement of pressing through the foot and the rotation. And now letting the head come along for the ride, turning with the trunk. Does that add some freedom to the arms and the body to swing just a little bit more? Allowing the arms to continue to start to continue to float, but maybe bringing them up a little bit higher, almost to shoulder height here. And you'll notice that as the arms start to move higher, the rotation can move a little higher through the spine, a little bit more engagement. A good place to warm up the heart, the spine around the heart. And gradually starting to bring this movement down, allowing the hands back down, gently bringing the rotation to a pause. Noticing the energy of the body here, the spiraling nature of energy from the ground through the body to the sky. Most of nature grows and expands in a spiral. Most of our cells grow through a spiral. We're going to take a moment here to bring the hands to the chest if that's comfortable for you. You can rest them at the heart or rest them in front of you in a position that feels comfortable. And bringing to mind the intentions that might have brought you here to practice today. Whether it's to be with like-hearted community, to warm up, to move, integrate from the day, or you're not sure. And allow that intention to permeate the energy that is starting to move, to become bright around you. And as we do these practices of well-being, we're also doing these practices of well-being for the animals that might be in our immediate presence or around us or nearby. And keeping that awareness of care and compassion for ourselves and the beings around us that we care for, allowing the hands to come back down to the sides. And we're going to, for a moment here, just allow the eyes to have their own separate movement here. So letting the head continue to face forward, letting the eyes start to drift very carefully on the horizon to the right and then to the left. Again, we're doing this movement somewhere 50 to 70% of total capacity. So if you're someone that gets migraines or headaches, you might even want to do a little bit less. Just allowing the eyes to very slowly move along the environment, noticing if there's any ratcheting or kind of glossing over an area, any tightening in the neck or the jaw, seeing if you can let that go. And coming back to center at the horizon, and now allowing the eyes to move down. So moving down towards the floor until you're looking down towards the feet, and then up through the center and up to the ceiling. The head is staying still, chin is staying in place as you move the eyes up and down. We spend so much of our day with the eyes and the neck locked together. We forget sometimes that we're designed for these two systems to move independently. And our neck usually tells us when it needs that break, or the vice versa, the eyes. So allowing the eyes to move up and down maybe one more time. Noticing any impact on the breath here. Letting the eyes come back to center. And we'll do a couple of more final movements of the eyes. We'll do some circles. So starting looking down, and you can choose whether you want to go to the right and go all the way around or to the left, finding which way naturally works for you and start there, letting the face continue to face forward, but moving the eyes all the way in a circle. And switch directions, noticing if you're tightening the neck, see if you can soften the neck and the jaw. You might notice that it helps to loosen the digestion and move the eyes. And bringing the eyes back to the horizon, just pausing here for a moment. We're going to go into a single leg stance, a tree pose. So we're going to shift our weight over to one leg back and forth. So for here, it's helpful to have the eyes actually resting more towards the earth, that 2 meter, 8 foot in front of you or so. distance, and shifting your weight now over to the left foot as we invite our weight over to the left side, feeling the inner and outer edges of the foot. Sometimes when we shift the weight, we kind of shift onto a side. So it's really helpful in our practice just to be aware that there are these edges of the feet here, and also the front and back of the foot, the ball and heel of the foot. As you start to press down through these edges, engage the left thigh. So you might even want to press that left knee back just a tad, not locking it, just engaging the thigh, squeezing the hip in towards the center and lengthening through the top of the head. As you do that, you notice how your weight just starts to naturally unweight the other side. And from here, turning the right knee out and turning it back in. So we're just very gently rotating it in and out as we keep integrity of the dance leg, hip muscles engaged strong. You might bring the hands to the lower belly, drawing in and up a little bit. And then from here, sliding the hands out to the outer hip, turning that right knee out and resting the right heel on top of the inner left ankle. And the hips are pointing straight forward here, hands on the hips descending through the shoulders. Now, if you'd like and you feel comfortable, you're welcome to slide the foot up to the calf, inner calf, or to the groin if you'd like. Finding a position that feels good for you. And from here, releasing the hands, turning the palms outward. We'll inhale the arms over the head. Make sure you keep the hips and the foot. Exhale, bringing the hands down to center here. And pausing here. Engagement of the hips, the legs. Softening through the eyes, releasing the hands. Bringing the foot back to center and pausing here for a moment, just noticing the impact of the left versus the right, the trunk. And maybe a sense of steadiness that's starting to build in the body. So inviting the weight now over to the right leg, and as you shift over again, those edges of the feet, noticing if maybe you tend to shift back onto the heel, seeing if you can balance it between the front and back, but also on those edges of the feet. If that feels strange or you feel unsure, see about maybe contracting this right thigh by drawing the right knee back a little bit and pressing that right hip in towards center so the hips stay nice and level. And you'll notice that when you engage these muscles, you naturally unweight that other foot. And from here, as you unweight that foot, engaging the edges of the foot, turn that left knee out and back in. And we're just going to turn it in and out here, noticing the propensity to want to let go as you do this movement. The low back and hips also need to move separately, like the eyes and the neck. And when one of them is hurting, it's usually the low back that speaks, but either way. So we're going to pause here, sliding that left heel to rest on top of the inner right ankle, and the hands to the hips. Just checking the hips. If you'd like, you can bring the hands to the lower abdomen again, Just checking. You might find that as you draw in and up a little bit here, that left hip or the right hip, one of them will want to engage a little bit more. And from here, finding a position that works best for you for the foot. It can be on the inner calf, it can be in the groin. Being aware of your intention and also the quality. And from here, releasing the hands, turning the palms out, opening through the heart. Inhaling, raising the arms up. Exhaling, the hands come together down through the center. Releasing the hands, releasing the feet, coming back into standing with your feet about hip width apart. Noticing, again, a sense of steadiness being cultivated as we continue to progress through our movement. So we're going into a lunge pose here, a warrior one. So in this position, come to the top of the area where you're practicing. If you are practicing on a mat, come to the top of the mat. It's very helpful to have a chair. We're going to be using our chair at the end of our practice. So having something firm you can sit on, or if you need extra stability, the chair is great. Or you can use a wall if you'd like. So feel free to adjust and take care of your body as we continue in our practice, just like in meditation. It's okay to pay attention to the body, at least in this form and style of practice. So again, inviting the body over to the left leg, engaging the sides of the feet, the thigh, the hips nice and level, abdomen pressing in just a little, floating that right knee up and stepping back. As you step back, look down at your left knee, make sure it's over that left ankle so that it's not pointing in or out. And shifting awareness to the right knee, pressing back with that right knee, even as the pelvis tilts down towards the earth, the back of the pelvis starts to move down. So when we do this, as we tilt the pelvis down and press back with the right knee, we're starting to open up this groin area here. In this place, invite the shoulders down away from the ears. So as the shoulders move down, start to lift through the chest just a little bit here. And from this place, bringing the arms in front of you. Arms, hands are, the palms are facing in. Allow the arms to move up. And we'll pause here for 5 breaths. And with this last breath, bringing the left hand down to the left thigh, we're going to turn the trunk towards the right. And as we turn the trunk to the right, turn that back foot so that it now points towards the right. Reach that right hand back and bring it down so that it's at shoulder height. Inhale that left hand up. Pausing here, palms down, engaging the hips. And then we'll go into side bending here. So as you inhale, bringing that right hand down, remember the sides of the feet. Bringing that left arm up and over, side bending to the right. And then inhaling, coming back up, bringing that right elbow or right hand down to the left knee. Right hand up and over. And moving back and forth here for 5 breaths. And ending this position by bringing the arms back to shoulder height, the palms facing down. Bringing that left hand back down to the thigh, reaching up with that right hand, turning the body to face back over the left knee and pivoting that back foot so it points forward once again. Bringing that right hand down. If you need to, just shift your feet so the feet are about shoulder width apart here in their own lane. Finding again that position in your pelvis, in your body that feels stable so the trunk is balanced between the left and the right legs. We're going into a rotation here to the left now. So bringing the hands onto the left thigh, we're going to start to press back with that right knee and turn the body. So I like to do this turn with the left hand on the outer left hip. So as you turn the body, let that left hand slide along the hip. And the right hand is on the outer left thigh. And from here, you can stay right here. If you'd like to go a little further, you can. Finding a position that works for you in this rotation. And breathing into the lower ribs here. Inhaling to come out of this rotation to face forward again. Hands on the thighs, step your feet together. And pausing here, noticing the impact on the body. Shifting the body, the weight, inviting it over to the right side now, feeling the edges of the feet. Noticing the balance between the front and back. Engaging that right thigh, the right hips. Inviting the left knee up. And stepping back. Checking the right knee over the right ankle. Like you can bring the hands to the lower belly, and as you invite in and up this lower torso, the left knee can also press back. As we do this, make sure that the shoulders continue, the chest continues to lift and open. So for those of you who don't have any shoulder issues, just ignore me as I talk about this just for a second. If you have any shoulder issues at all, just make sure you can bring your hands to your chest here. Make sure that you lift through the chest here. Lift through the chest even as the top of the head lifts toward the sky. So we're not trying to squeeze the shoulder blades back. We're just lifting through here. So we lift through the chest, press back through the left knee. From here, reaching forward with the arms, palms facing in, and lift up. 5 breaths breathing. Bringing the right hand down to the right thigh, turning the trunk towards the left, dropping that left foot so that it points to the left. Bring that left hand down to shoulder height, palm down, floating that right arm up. If you'd like a little more stability, you can walk that right foot in towards the center so that the right heel lines up with the middle arch of the left foot. Engaging the hips in. Bring that left hand down, inhaling side bending to the left. Exhaling, Bringing that right elbow down or hand, side bending to the right. And continuing that flow of 5 breaths. You might have a flow of breathing that works better for you, for your body. And coming back to this warrior pose, arms floating up, shoulder height. Engaging through both feet. As you press down through the feet, you'll feel the contraction of the buttocks, lower abdomen here. Letting the chest rise so that we're not collapsing in the chest, opening the heart. And bringing that right hand to the right thigh, bringing that left arm and rotating the body to the right. And as you do so, move the feet and the body so that now the feet are about shoulder width apart again. And slide that right hand to the outer right thigh. Bringing the left hand to the outer right thigh. Rotating through the lower body first as you press back through that left knee. And continuing that rotation through the spine. If you feel tweaked in the shoulders or neck when you do this, keep the chin centered over the neck and let the rotation occur. Actually, this is for anyone who feels tweaked in the back at all. Keep the chin over the chest. Initiate the movement by pressing the left knee back. And only go as far as you can without feeling tweaked. It might be a small movement, but it is a movement. And from here, if you'd like to continue to rotate and move down, you're welcome to. In this place, you want to draw the left rib cage forward, the right upper shoulder back. And to come out of this, rotating back forward, bringing the hands to the right thigh. Pausing here, facing forward, then stepping your feet together, pausing, noticing, sensing, feeling the body. So for a transition to the remainder, last couple of minutes of our practice, we're going to do a forward fold. So for those of you familiar with the forward fold, this is with the feet about hip width apart and the arms folded, grasping the elbows and folding forward here. Now, for most people, this is difficult because we have tight hamstrings. So the knees are soft, and I would suggest, especially if you have tight hamstrings and you're not familiar with this, to bring your hands and arms to the seat of a chair or to the back of a chair. And your feet a comfortable distance away from the chair and allow your body to hang. So the idea here is that we really want the head to hang and breathe into the back lungs, the back rib cage. And to come out of this, bending the knees, letting the body rest on the thighs if you're down low, and pressing through your hands, press yourself back up. I'm going to take a seat on the edge of our chair. We want our feet so that the ankles are under the knees, the shoulders are over the hips. Noticing the breath of the body and the heart rate. When the body changes from standing to sitting, or vice versa, the heart will accommodate and shift. So allow the body start to hinge on the hips. So keeping the shoulders over the hips, we're just going to move the trunk back and forth. Hands on the thighs. And we're going to do a very gentle pigeon stretch and sitting. If you're familiar with that pose, you're more than welcome to go to the ground and do it in the way that you know. Otherwise, if you're following me, bringing the right ankle on top of the left knee, you'll feel a stretch in the outer right hip. Now, for some of you, if this is hard on the knee, you can bring the knee up a little bit, or you want to make sure that your hips are higher than the knees. So in my case, I need to lift up a little bit today. And then start to hinge forward over the hips, and you'll notice you'll feel the stretch in the outer right hip. And despite this being a lengthening or stretching of this outer right hip, it's also an internal pose here. So letting the body fall forward with the chest lifted until you can no longer move, and then start to allow the body to fold into the position. And breathe. And with every exhalation is an opportunity for the body to let go a little more, allowing for the weight bearing to be through both hips. And pressing yourself back up into sitting. Right knee, slide on top of the left. And if you're on the floor doing your own yoga practice, I'm going into Matsyendrasana, which is a twist pose. For those of you in the chair, bringing your hands to your outer right thigh, slide that right hand along the hip and press that left hand on the outer right knee so that we're starting to rotate to the right. As you rotate to the right, allow that continued rotation through the spine. And at some point, that right hand will just come down, the right heel of the hand pressing down on the chair, drawing that right shoulder back. And breathing into the lower rib cage, the right hip is pressing down. And releasing that pose, coming back to face center. And releasing the legs. Noticing the balance on the sit bones now, maybe the sensation in the sit bones for a moment, just noticing the fullness or the sensation of those sit bones, if there's any difference. And we'll go into the other side, so maybe moving this right foot a little more into center, bringing the left ankle on top of the right knee. And from here, just hinging forward and back, just so you can feel the front and back edges of the sit bones, making sure there's no collapsing onto the back of the pelvis here. And continuing forward onto the front edge of that sit bone, you'll feel the stretch in the outer left hip. Continuing forward until the body starts to fold. Exhaling, with every exhale, allowing for the opportunity to let go a little more. If you can, allow the exhalation to be a little longer than the inhalation. And pressing yourself back up into sitting. Sliding the left ankle on top, or left knee on top of the right knee. Bringing the hands to the outer left thigh and pressing that left leg in towards center, turning the trunk, but keeping both sit bones on the chair. Letting that movement of rotation occur through the spine. Keep the chin over the chest as you let the movement ascend through the spine. And when you can't rotate anymore, then allow for that left hand to come down towards the heel of the hand to come down behind the left hip, pressing down, lifting through the chest. And from here, then allowing the head to turn if it's available. That left hip grounded on the seat as well. Right shoulder down. And releasing that, coming back to face forward. Releasing the legs, letting the feet be about hip width apart. We're going to end our practice just by pausing here for 5 breaths.